And that river is, even though it may be a little resistant at first, it doesn't judge. Like I said, the female raft guide, wherever you're from, it doesn't judge. You get respect if you can get it done. And that's probably why I'll do it till I can't. And if with any luck, my little girl will start doing it for me if I can pull her back in. She's starting to pull away, but with any luck, when I can't take myself down, she'll do it for me.
Welcome to Creepalachia. We are diving into the river today. And I've done this one time in my life, and these people in this room, I don't know, combined, how many times have y'all went? How many times have you went, Charles?
I couldn't count. I don't know. Maybe not as many as these guys because they've been at it consistently a little longer than me, but 25, 30 years doing it.
Perfect. Well, so we're talking raft guiding today, and the new River Gorge and the Golly, which are two different things I figured out.
Yeah.
It's true. It's kind of amazing. I have so many people, and I'm sure these guys have as well. When I talk about Golly season and it being bigger and nastier, they think I'm taking them down the same stretch of river. And it's like, no, this is a completely different stretch of river. Those people tend to be from Ohio or Michigan, but I have so many people that think the Golly season is the same river. And it's like, no, we're talking about a completely different river, dude. But they don't actually get that. But.
Bunch of stuff. And I'm sure like hundreds of people already know whose voice that is. That is Ray Ray, one of the legends around here. I mean, we have three legends, really. And we have Melanie Seiler Hames in the studio, which is technically our only professional. Like you're I mean, we're all professional, but like you're like a pro paddleboarder, correct? Or is it?
Well, I'm currently raft racing, so that's that category. But I work as a raft guide. Ray Ray still works as a raft guide. Charlie just does play trips.
Yeah. My first year, I finally got out of the commercial aspect. But technically, if you get paid for something, you're a professional. So they're professional.
Heck, I mean, you all are way more professional than I would ever be. But Melanie, do people pay you to like use their stuff, or am I wrong with that? It seems like I heard you were a professional paddleboarder or something.
I did have an affiliation with paddleboarding from 2011 till probably 2019.
Perfect. Okay. And that's when you did all the handstands and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Right. Did a paddleboard race on the New River Station and just kind of had some fun with it in that transitional time in my life. And
sweet.
Did you start the like witches and warlock float that's like become a little more official?
Well, yeah, Megan Fisher and I were out there, but Tabitha Stover with Visit Fayetteville, she was all about it as well. And then we just kind of helped to put a few safety things in place and get Tabitha kind of situated to manage it herself. And now it's a great event. Everybody looks forward to it.
Are you still part of the Sweets of the East?
Yeah, Sweets of the East is happening.
Brag on that because you women are bad.
Yeah.
Brag on the Sweets of the East for a minute, because these women are representing West Virginia like nobody's business.
Yeah, women's raft race team. Sweets of the East has existed here in West Virginia since 2015, changing members over the years. I participated in 2018 when the national raft race competitions were here on the New and Golly. And I was like, heck yeah, that's easy enough. All the events are here. And then this opportunity came up last year, raced with them. We went to Chile for Pan American, which I'd really heard of that before, but it's a competition with just North, Central, South America teams. Now we qualify and we're going in November to the World Rafting Championship in Argentina with over 100 countries, and we'll represent Team USA and we'll try to keep up.
Heck yeah.
Awesome.
Well, congratulations. And we have, you may have seen him dressed up as Jesus online.
One time.
One time.
All of a sudden.
Just one time.
Built 1,000 houses, not Carpenter Bob. We don't know how that joke is.
Yeah, we know how that one works. Yeah.
One day, but 5 locations.
Yeah.
Downtown, postage due.
And that was it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's just gotten a lot of
It was that
traction.
memorable.
Yeah.
Charles Seay is
I believe the holding the sign to eat pit sign has got a lot of play up in Morgantown from what I've heard.
I'm still waiting to watch him walk on water, though. I've seen him on posters, too. I'm waiting for him to walk right across Box Canyon up on that Ace Rock. But anyway.
I'm more of a turn water into whiskey kind of guy.
That would be the truth.
That's a better miracle.
Yeah. So let's start with you, Charles. What's your background in the rafting industry? You mentioned 30 years. What does that include?
I started commercially guiding in 97. My brother had done it for a long time, and I did it. It was supposed to be a one summer job between semesters at college because I wasn't sure college was right for me. My first 2 semesters, I was doing well. My third semester, kind of stopped going to class. Don't want to say failed out because that college that I went to, you didn't really fall. They just kind of took your money over and over, same
Right.
classes.
It's like, hey, you did good. Come back next semester.
So I took a summer off the guide because it was a good summer job for a little, 19, 20-year-old kid, and I just couldn't get away from it. Addicted instantly, which is odd because the first raft trip I remember taking was with my brother for Old Golly Expeditions, and I was riding in the back of, they called it cover wagon, old dually truck, had the canopy on it. And I was helping them move boats and stuff because I was getting a free trip. And I remember an old raft guide who I'd met since then, but he's passed. I remember him saying, me helping out, he said, you're going to make a good raft guide one day. And I thought to myself, no lie, I said, I'm not going to be no raft guide. I'm going to be something. I don't want to be no dirty raft guide. I want to have a real job. But then, like I said, this is the first year I haven't done it commercially. So it's stuck with it all that long because you can't get away from it.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I know the very few times I've went, I just always think like, why? This is right next door. Why ain't I doing this every week? And then I don't do it again for like 6 years. That's how useless I am. But yeah, I can imagine it's a fun time.
Well, people that live on the beach don't vacation at the beach.
Right.
It's just the way it is, I guess.
That's a good way to put it.
Actually, you were a professional. You're a professional bouncer at the Red Dog.
No. Cool. Doorman. And professional was a very loose term for what I did there.
This inside joke stuff, where's this place at?
Oh, just when I worked for Rivers, I guided, worked the doors, would take out rock climbing and rappelling, just anything to make money because even as fun as it is and as responsible as you have to be, you're not going to get rich doing it.
Right.
You don't do it for the money.
Right. That makes me sad. I feel like you all have saved probably more lives than anyone in this state. I'm just guessing because it can be, which we'll get into, a very dangerous activity. But it also can be a beautiful one if you do it correctly. So I'm excited to break it down. Melanie, let's go into your background. So we talked a little bit. Sweets of the East. Are there diabetics on this crew? Why is it named that? Is there a certain reason?
No, just for ladies.
Okay.
The sweet ladies.
Gotcha.
And the girls back in the day came up with that name and logo.
Cool.
Did it come because they had the men didn't have a team? Didn't they call themselves the Meats, or was that in response to?
That was in response.
Okay, I
Ladies
thought they came first. You guys came first with the name. Okay.
Yeah. In 2018, there was a men's raft race team and Masters men's raft race team, and so they were fun.
Gotcha. Good times. So, what's a little of your background on the river?
Well, I did grow up in the industry. My parents met on the Youghiogheny River in Ohiopyle and decided through contacts that with the River Gorge Bridge being finished, that it was really going to open up commerce and opportunities for more commercial outfitters in this area. So they came down and purchased Songer Whitewater. It had been operating for about 2 years. They ran it for a year and then purchased it. And so I was 3 years old, growing up, 5 years old, first trip with grandparents and teenager riding along on trips. And then when I was 18, I was like, I need to train. My mom made me check out twice because she's like, there's no way you're ready. And then I pursued my management career of being the boss's daughter and herding raft guides.
Good deal. Has Has the river changed since you was a kid, or has it always been the same, the same rapids?
You can get into details of like some rock shifting here and there. We've had some flood events. You'll see where creeks are coming in, the tributaries are coming in, may shift some of those smaller boulders, this and that. But overall, no. It is the same place you go there, and it's the same beautiful environment that takes you away from everything else.
Now, the golly, that was a thing recently introduced, right? Someone had an idea to, how did the golly begin?
The golly they started rafting that in the 60s, and the Summersville Dam was constructed and finished in 1968. And so the correlation of that and maintaining water flows at some consistency allowed those first boaters to get out, pioneers to get out and figure out how they could also start to commercially be on that river as well. And then they worked with the Army Corps on scheduled dates, release amounts of water, how that could be built in. And, so that was taking off the exact same time the New River was. So, the 70s, it was starting to pick up with a lot of outfitters, people coming in. 80s, the 90s were the highest amount of people rafting. That was the heyday. Mm-hmm. And then it's kind of, dropped and plateaued since then. The national park designation in the last 5 years has spiked it back up. COVID spiked back up park attendance. But I would say now we are still kind of headed back to a plateau because people come to the national park to take a selfie and not exactly do high adventure.
Right. That makes sense. And you mentioned the dam. So Summersville Lake gets drained every fall.
Correct.
And when they first created the lake, they flooded the town of Gad.
Yes.
And then it was going to be called Gad Dam, and they decided that was offensive, and they wanted to name it Summersville Lake. So that's one of my favorite stories. But yeah, so basically what happens, long story short, they drain the lake, and it causes this surge of water that just makes, all the kids in us say, we need to, grab a boat and hop on it and see what happens. And that's essentially how it started. I love it. Ray, what about you? You're an enigma, sir. I gotta say, I don't know much about you. So that's other than the first time I went. So I think it was Adventures on the Gorge, and you was running the bus, and that's when I thought of you. I was like, there was this guy on there that was telling all these jokes about, potential accidents and laughing, and had this unique voice and led me to you. So that's all I know about you.
Well, first of all, the only reason anybody would call me a legend ain't because I drive a boat. See, I just bullshit better than the rest of them. So there is that.
I take exception to that.
Well, present company excluded. Present company excluded. Especially your brother who's not present, but there have been a few better bullshitters than me, but no, man, I actually, in summer of 1980, went to Outward Bound and learned and I was in high school, started to learn how to whitewater canoe and kayak, and then went to Texas Tech, and after my freshman year, went and was running, Army, Navy, and Marine Corps Vietnam surplus bucket boats down the Rio Grande. Went for a 5-day training, and then they cut us loose, and we just were slaughtering people on Class 2-3 whitewater on the Rio Grande in the middle of summer at dirt. And then 92 was my first time actually running the golly, but I was still working other places, and then moved to Asheville, North Carolina in 2000. And I was still showing up for the 6 weeks of golly. But I was running southern rivers like the French Broad, the Nolichucky, Chattooga, etc. And then in 2007, finally moved up here full time. I was working, but from 92 to then, I was with a company called Appalachian Wildwater. And then moved over to Class 6 in 2008. And so, but I didn't become a full-time New River guide till the summer of 2007. So this is only my 19th year on working on the new full-time. But then I was with Class 6, and then Class 6 kind of merged with Mountain River Tour, and then Riverman. And then 2011, we merged with Songer. And then 2012, we became Adventures on the Gorge. But I've been I've been getting wet on whitewater since 1980. So, in one form or another. So, yeah, I've had a couple of years out there.
That's awesome. And I want to break down how it works too. So correct me if I'm wrong. You can't even get a permit to open a company anymore. Can you? Who were the first companies who started this whole thing?
Mountain River Tour was really the first company. Then Appalachian Wildwater started pretty soon right after them, as far as I understand.
Wildwater was in there real early.
And right.
Yeah,
No, actually, what you said is true, though. Actually, Wildwater with John Dragon was the first company.
Yeah.
Right. I was thinking of the Golly.
Yeah.
Wildwater with John Dragan.
Yeah.
So I correct myself. Wildwater with John Dragan in 68 started it. Golly was in 72 with Paul Brewer. But no, it was John Dragan started the whole thing with Wildwater. And then you had Class 6 kind of broke off and did their own thing. And right about that same time was when Songer started and Riverman started. But yeah, I stand corrected, Charlie. Yeah. You're correct.
And
it was John Dragan with Wildwater started the whole thing.
Blew up at one time. It was 22, 23 companies.
26 plus. I mean, I've heard all kinds of numbers from the 80s and 90s, but then they restricted. West Virginia DNR manages the whitewater industry commercially. And so that's who your permitting is through. And whenever, late 80s, early 90s, they restricted how many permits could be out there. Then as we go through the 90s, and as you heard from Ray Ray, these mergers are happening because those business owners are all of the same generation. So they're all ready to figure out retirement plans. And surprisingly, it's not easy to sell a raft company. So, those merging conversations started to happen. So what you see now is like a shift in numbers of permits. So a permit guarantees so many seats per day to raft, and you can break those down and sell a number of seats. So there's companies out there right now. People are sitting on seats that they're not using. So that's how you would purchase or start another company. You'd go and approach someone to buy their seats.
Interesting. It's like a permit for coal is you have so much land that you can mine. Well, for the river, it's like, here you have this many seats. Do what you want. Is it per day?
Per day.
Okay, so per day. Okay.
But who wants to sell somebody a seat and then maybe lose that potential business? So I think that's where you're getting at. You can't get them. They're not making any more, but there are some unused ones out there. But how'd you go about making a deal to get them and, run possibly competition from whoever you bought them from or finagled them out of, or however you go about it.
Sure, yeah. That's very interesting. Basically, they had to start having a permit process because it was getting so crazy. And I imagine the more people you shove on the river, the more potential for danger and accidents that you have, and eventually you got to kind of
industry standards, and so that the DNR also has the regulations on how the guides are trained, how many trips they have, what credentials they have, what your equipment criteria is, all of that standard is set there. So just from a liability standpoint, if you do have an accident, injury, something's going on, you don't want to be found negligent. You want to make sure that you're operating at the industry standard.
Yeah. Is liability insurance off the charts for these places? Are they? Okay.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Liability insurance is probably what the guests pay to go down the river. I'm sure it's probably about 20% of what they're paying.
The Adventures on the Gorge waiver now is 11 pages.
Right, yeah.
The waiver basically says you have no grounds to do anything whatsoever. And I understand that. Like, of course, like I mentioned, it's a beautiful thing to go down the river, but also, you got to take it serious. Right. It can be dangerous, especially if you have no clue what you're doing, like me. So that's when we were originally going to plan a Golly trip for my first time. And I said, I just didn't feel confident. So I said, I'm not going to do it yet.
And that's a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
If you don't feel it's for you and you're not going to enjoy it and have the fun, then I would tell people don't go. It really isn't for everybody. And as we discussed a little bit before we settled in, it's not the log ride at Six Flags. The boats aren't on chains. It's not predetermined. So there is an inherent risk, but statistically speaking, me driving from Fayetteville to here, I was in more danger than we were floating a raft down the New or the Golly.
Oh yeah.
And I know numbers, you can move them and around, but so, there's an inherent risk, but over the years, we've gotten pretty good as an industry of making it about as safe as it can be without restricting the fun.
Yeah. Well, one thing I've noticed too is, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's really like a brother and sisterhood community. Like everybody's like, hey, what about this person, that person?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, when you go to the river every day and both Melanie and Charlie will back me up on this. And I mean, no disparity to any company anywhere, but when you go to the river as a river guide, the first person you're working for, the first people you're working for, your brothers and sisters, and then we're working for our guests. And the name on the side of the boat really don't mean shit.
Right.
And then when we're out there, I've had more than one time in my life where I've crashed, or people in my trip have crashed, and there's been another company help out, and there's been more than enough times I can tell you that other companies have crashed, and my company and the people in once we're on the river, it's the marketing departments and the owners that fight. When we're on the river, guides, we're looking out for each other, especially now more than ever. But yeah, it is, like you said, it is a brotherhood and a sisterhood, and it ain't easy to be a guide. And I got respect for a guide. I don't care if you're working a Class 2 river or a Class 3 river, or whether you're working the Upper Golly or Gore Canyon or Cherry Creek, don't matter. You got the nutsack to sit in the back of a boat, strap in, and take mouth breathers down the stretch of water they got no business being on. Well, then, by God, you got my respect. And a lot of times, the majority of the fatalities through the years have actually happened more on Class 2 and 3 whitewater than they have on Class 4 and 5 whitewater. And there are a lot of different factors that go into that. But yeah, it is a brotherhood and sisterhood. And when you're out there, when the shit hits the fan, I could give a damn what the color of the boat is. We're going to go help each other out. And like I said, I've been helped out more than once by people with other companies. And I've helped out other companies too. And that's just the way it works, man. That's just the way it works.
Oh, yeah.
I guess starting out, let's break down class. What do these classes mean? Like I hear Class 2, 5. Like how do you grade rapids and their level of severity?
I'll give you the facts. Charlie can give you the character.
Yep, go ahead.
No, there's always a talk about what is the 2 here might not be the 2 somewhere else, and are you using the 1 to 10 international system? So there is a little bit of argument into what it is and who's classified.
And it is vague as hell, but Melanie, being the woman and clearly the smartest person in the room, will give you the exact definition.
Yeah, she'll be able to give you the official story, and then like you said, I'll tell you how it really is.
There were a number of years ago, I realized that I'm not the funniest person among the guide staff, and that's okay because I can deliver some facts. But Class 1, ripples, just a little bit of whitewater, go wherever you want. Class 2, you're going to have a little bit bigger whitewater. There might be some more rocks out sticking, something getting a little more interesting. Class 3, there's potentially going to be a horizon line. You're going to be seeing some gradient, and there's a feature that you need to avoid. Class 4, multiple features. You have to do a change in direction. Class 5, many features, many things to avoid, many changes in direction.
Okay. So it just goes up to 5?
Class 6 is a rapid that's not run commercially.
Gotcha.
On the scale that we typically use on the New and Golly. So it's not rated on how much fun it is. It's not rated on how big the wave is crashing into the boat. It's not rated length has a little bit to do with it. You are the more technical you get, the longer it's going to get.
Who chooses what they are? Like
the good old boys from the 70s.
Oh, okay. So they was like, yeah, that's a 4.
That's part of it. I think some of the things we run commercially that were rated, especially on the new, as 4 or 5s, especially now, equipment's improved. Our knowledge has improved. Like Ray Ray said, running old ex-military rafts were designed for maybe beaching in an ocean or, not as opposed to moving. So I'm hard pressed at normal levels to tell somebody there's a true Class 5 on the new river. But you may think it's a 3 in the boat, but when you swim it, you're wondering why isn't this a 5 or a 6? Because when everything's going great. And you're like, well, this is nothing. Well, if you're swimming it and you're banging up your knees or you're going towards an undercut that we said, hey, that's the bad spot. All of a sudden, yes, this rapid is a 5. But that's why I was saying, well, that's official, but I don't know that there's nobody in the state does it. There's no governing body that says, hey, this is a class 3. It got that way like over years of people doing it. And
right. Has a 3 became a 4?
Well, here's the thing. And that the old school way of thinking of it was once a 3, always a 3, once a 4, always a 4, once a 5, always a 5. Yeah. And I think that's a bunch of bullshit, frankly. Rapids do change depending on water levels. But bottom line, the way I like to define them is the skill it takes to drive the rapid, the move that must or must not be made. And if you don't make the move, what are the consequences of not making that move? What are the consequences of the swim? And certain different rapids, I'll use Double Z as an example. Double Z at 10, 11, 12 feet, which is a sick level on the new river for certain rapids, that actually becomes one of the easier rapids on the river, as long as you just know to stay off the eddy wall on the right-hand side at the bottom. And this thing called Barry's Hole, which will surf the house we're sitting in right now. But it's a pretty easy line to find. Now, you go to Double Z, like minus 2 feet, and then all of a sudden, that goes from what would be a class 3 rapid to a definite class 4 plus with class 5 consequences, to be sure. So to say one thing is one thing at one time or another, but it is a vague, very, very vague scale, to be sure. Mm-hmm. But, if you're having fun in a rapid, who cares? But what class it is, but rapids do change classifications to, the middle Keenies at 6 feet and above. There is a for sure class 5 consequence, and it is a must make move. But then you get to middle Keenies at lower water levels, then as a raft guide, you might jack yourself up if you hit the wrong place, but you got 100 yards for people to backstroke away from the feature. Right. So is that a class 5 anymore? Probably a class 3 at that level. But at higher water levels, it's definitely a class 4 plus move with a class 5, class 6 consequence. So it's a vague scale that's really hard to determine.
I kind of compared it to like the golf course, a par 4 for a normal player. Well, define a normal player. Par 4 for me, I'm shooting 35 because I don't golf. I'm not good. So just because a rapid's a class 1, I just unpinned a little canoe right above the takeout at the Sandbar, Grandview Sandbar, little plastic fishing canoe. Mm-hmm. Quinamont, low water, what we kind of 1 or 2 maybe. But for somebody that said, hey, we saw a video, or let's go grab this boat from Walmart or, Cabela's or whatever. It's no big deal. These people do it all the time. Well, they swam there. You can get just as much trouble in a shallow class 2 with foot entrapment as you can Double Z at high water, which, so it is different. And you have to have some kind of rating. So I'm not putting down the rating system. You got to have a starting point and an idea, but I don't think in my mind there's a hard and fast, like you said, 4 for you, 3 for a first timer or a no timer. And like I said, as far as I know, there's no, at least in this state or country that I know of, no governing body that says this is what this is.
Right. That makes sense. And we hear a bunch of like Double Z. I want to explain what's going on there. So there's names for all these rapids, correct?
Yeah.
Most of them, yes.
How many are on like the New River, for instance?
26.
26? Look at that.
Canard down or from
Canard to Taze.
Yeah.
Thereabouts.
Yeah.
And some
18 name ones from Canard down.
You mentioned Double Z. I got it here on the screen that people can see. I got a nice little
Don't blow my cover,
here.
Charlie. That's what I tell people.
No, I'm asking because I don't know.
I can't count over 3. That's
and
why
62
I call all
on the upper galley.
Ford 1, 2, or 3, no more than that. So, but yeah, here you go. You got it right there, Thumb Rock, right there at the top. Yeah.
So is Thumb Rock a part of Double Z?
Yep.
Yes, that's the entrance.
It's the top of it.
So rocks can have names, waves can have names, holes have names. Like we name all the things.
Yeah.
This is like a football playbook or something.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was like, oh, there's like 12 there, but inside of each one of these sections, there's like a whole batch of
right. And then the different features. And for the most part, you never want a feature named after you, because with the exception about Sweets Falls, it's not named after you because you styled it. You're the wrecked epic, or you killed yourself for somebody else. That's about the only way to get something named after you. Now, Sweets Falls was named after John Sweets because he's the first one that dropped it. But other than that, there are very few things that are named after somebody that styled something.
Yeah.
And by style, you mean like, oh, they did a good job.
Yeah.
there.
It was an epic water level, and you cleaned it, and you were just great at it that day, no matter what the water level. Well, they ain't naming it after you for that. I mean, they're going to name it after you because you up.
Right.
I mean, that's exactly what that's going to be.
Right.
Luckily, by the time I rafted, everything was named. You probably old enough. There was still some unnamed stuff out there, Ray.
Shut up, Charlie.
Love you, mean it. Miss your face, whatever the kids say these days.
How long did it take you to learn? Do you have a system when you go down, or do you approach everything from a fresh look every time? Like, do you know, like, okay, we'll go down Double Z on this line every time?
Let's describe it as, you know where the potholes are on your way home from work. You know your route. You know what kind of where your features are. So over the years, we're just we just know some of that route. Now, you never want to take it for granted. So that's part of what we've all been taught and ingrained, is that you're still constantly reading the water. So you can tell what's under the water by how it moves on the top.
Mm-hmm.
And so we learn that when we're in guide training and when we're getting out there those first couple years. So it's funny when people do crash because they're like, oh, I was just doing what I did yesterday. And like, oh, well, it's a different water level, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So you still want to read the water, but we can't help ourselves for just, having it memorized.
Sure. And I noticed, like, you got to know what to tell the people too, and you got to sound confident when you do it. You're like, okay, you all paddle as hard as you can, left or whatever when you go through certain rapids. So I know that helped me a lot. I was like, okay, I'll just listen, and then I'll just do exactly what they say, and everything will be all right. And then I still about flew out of the boat. But
well, everything will be all right is probably not what you always need to say.
Right.
Because even because we may look like we know what we're doing, sometimes that is not exactly the truth.
That's part of it. In swimming, even though we aim for that never to happen, I tell anybody that's been in my boat, if somebody from my boat falls out, or if the boat flips, because we've all flipped rafts, no matter how prepared you are out there, you could be the best raft guide in the world, and 99% of raft guides are the best guides in the world. Just ask them.
A lot of confidence I noticed when I put the post out.
Well, it's a joke. But
hey, Charlie, remember the old joke? What's the difference between God and a raft guide?
Yeah,
God never claimed to be a raft guide.
Yeah, but if somebody falls out of the rafts and get back in, like I tell people, don't look at that as a bad thing. Okay, the boat flipped. You've seen it flip. You saw all 6, 7, 8, 9 back in the day. People get back in, went on down the river and laughed. So just because someone does come out of the raft or a boat flips or pins, that doesn't necessarily mean all hell's it's all over.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of us, like I said, have gotten pretty good at making it as safe as it can be. We don't just practice getting down the river safely or perfect. We practice and drill, swift water rescue, what happens when it goes bad. And to me, how a guide reacts when that happens, that tells me more about them than if I see them run the line perfect 100 times, I really don't know what kind of guide they are. I need to see them mess up at least once or twice to know how they are. If that makes any sense.
No,
to me, it does.
How they handle under pressure.
Yes.
That's like with anything. People change when stuff hits the fan.
And what you said about like the guy yelling confidence, give you confidence, it's going to sound so bad, but it's true in my opinion. Doing something, even if it's something wrong, is better than doing nothing in the raft. Like, if you let that water take you where it's going to take you, that's generally in trouble. I don't care if you're paddling the wrong direction. Doing something is better than doing nothing.
I've always said that to younger guys. It's like a bad decision is better than no decision.
Exactly.
Yeah. I always say there's 5 ways to do everything. Pick one and do something.
Yeah, there you go. Good.
True.
I'm glad it's not only me.
As long as it's not jump out of the boat. Don't do that.
Well, there are times there is a command, and especially if you're running like the upper galley and even the lower galley, there's a potential. There are some places on the river that you do tell your people if it comes down to me. And actually, the new at the Keeney's, if you see yourself going into meat grinder, there is a potential. Get the hell out of the boat, man. Yeah. That is a potential. I've personally never called it, knock on wood, but I have heard people that have called it. I've seen it called on my trip before. You get your out of the boat, man. You're going to the meat grinder at 6.5 feet, and there ain't no other option. Get out and go left.
Yeah. And what's the reason for that? You hit rocks or something, or
you're going to a bunch of rocks that make sieves that could potentially seriously hurt people's feelings or worse.
Sure.
One time on the lower galley, I got pinned on the rock that creates the sieve right a hellhole, and luckily it was Vic. He ended up guiding for years on Vic Palace, but he was just a guest then in a little boat, and I was in the back. He was towards the front. I told him jump and swim because he'll clear the rock. I wasn't sure about me. Yeah. Obviously, like you said, got lucky there and made it. But
yeah. Well. And I'm definitely going to get into some stories. I'm sure y'all have tons of times where, about anything you can think of could happen. But I want to get into some basics. Like, what are some things people need to know?
Before we do that, can I go take a piss?
Yeah.
He's old. He's got a small bladder.
You can leave that out.
No, yeah. While he's using the restroom, I think we can talk a little basics. What are some things that people need to know that have never done this before that maybe listen to this podcast of like, what's the main qualities you must have to be able to do this effectively, if that makes sense?
The best rafter is one that shows up rested and sober without any valuables in their pockets, who's excited, ready to listen and learn. Mm-hmm. When you run into trouble is when, folks show up and they've partied all night. Then they get sick on the bus ride on all those curvy roads, or they don't want to listen. And I've encountered that quite a bit, especially younger and being a younger girl and smaller girl. And they're like, just meeting a bit of resistance with certain personalities, as far as like listening and responding. You do want to be physically fit to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm. Leg strength or what in particular? Doesn't matter. Just
it doesn't matter. That ability to get in and out of a swimming pool and on and off of a swim floaty, and you swim at your local lake. You just are out and about. If you just work an office job or have been sitting on the couch for weeks and months on end, then it's just not gonna. You could easily hurt yourself, and you could easily hurt yourself at lunch. We're walking on all kinds of slick, loose rocks. We're out in nature. We're also carrying the boat. The whole crew has to carry the boat down to the water, off of the water. We're just physically asking the crew to help in all aspects of the day.
It's a participation sport. Absolutely. It's not like I said, you don't get in, sit down, and take me. Everything she said, it's participation sport. You have to be willing to listen. I think that's one reason I love it. It's the only time somebody listens to me and do what I say, opposite of every relationship I've ever been in.
You need to tell them, Melanie, that you got to be able to swim too, or why the hell you show up in the first time.
That's what she said.
You need to put that on the podcast. What she said, have her repeat that.
Okay.
Have her repeat that.
I feel since it is a business and an industry that sometimes, and I'm not putting them down. Well, actually, I don't care. I don't work for anybody anymore.
Thank you, sir.
The marketing department's job is to get in seats, which is thankful, because if they weren't doing their job, we wouldn't have this job to do. We wouldn't be able to do it. But sometimes I think that they aren't prepared or really have absolutely no idea what they're getting into.
Sure, yeah.
That it is, like I said, participation. It is physical. We're on the water between still 4 to 5 hours, if not longer. And
hopefully not, but so yeah.
Hey, I've seen them boats rolling in at 7 o'clock when I'm fishing at Fed Station.
After doing an evac on Lower Mash a couple of times, you're pulling in at 1,800.
Even that, if you would have to do an evac, guests often have to participate in that, especially if it's a backboard evac, because that could be something as simple as a twisted knee at lunch. Matter of fact, most of the injuries I've seen over the years have been carrying the boat or at lunch, slipping on a slick rock or playing grab ass. That's most of the injuries I've actually seen happen on the dry land, getting on or off the boat at the put in, take out, or lunch.
Right.
Jump rock.
Jump rock. Oh God, yes, jump rock.
Jump rock is where we get so many. Anyway.
Disclaimer, jump rock and rafting is totally safe.
West Virginia gravity check.
Yeah. But they do. They, like she said, I think they come with maybe zero expectations, and I don't know why.
I mean, it's just someone's grandma who's never done anything physical in their life that probably has heart issues,
hard of hearing,
probably should not do it.
No.
But, we have sections for that. There are family-friendly sections.
Right, that's what it's called. It's called the Upper New.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Upper New. That's where people like that need to go. But it's just like Charlie said before. I mean, and I'll say this on my safety talk on the way to the river. It's like, y'all, this place ain't Disneyland. It's like rafts don't go on rails. And I have been asked that. Rafts ain't been pulled by chains. Yeah, I have been asked that.
Yes.
I mean, we get asked these questions all the time, and there's so many people that think it. And that is one thing that's changed from back when all of us started back in the 80s and 90s to now. Back in the day, you had people that came out and knew this was at least an adventure sport, if not a full-blown extreme sport. The worst thing that ever happened to the rafting industry, as far as I'm concerned, especially for the Golly, is the bucket list movie. And everybody wants to put the Upper Golly on their bucket list. Well, if you want to run the Golly and you want it off your bucket list, just scratch the name Upper off it and go run the Lower Golly, because it's still a world-class section of Whitewater. It still ain't no joke. And it's still the Golly, but it ain't the Upper Golly. But back when I first started, and I know the same, both these people will agree with me. You took 18 to 50, maybe 55-year-olds who were in relatively good shape. Yeah. Everybody could swim. It wasn't even, and there was a separate waiver I know we had at AW that you had to check a box. Obviously, you could lie, but it said, I have run an equivalent of a Class 5 section of Whitewater before. In those days, that could consider around on the East Coast, the Nolichucky, it could consider the Ocoee, the Chattooga, the Lower New, or the Lower Golly. But you check that box off. And then every once in a while, someone would come up to you and say, after safety talk, well, this is my first time rafting. But at least they were like a 40-something-year-old person that was in great shape. They said, can I go rafting on the Upper Golly? I said, well, yeah, first time, I'll take you. Now you've got people in their 60s and 70s that maybe went down the Nantahala, maybe. and then
really
it's like, this is my, and this has been happening for the last 15 years or so. Now maybe, can I go? This is my first time, and you're looking at him and go, I mean, bucket list. We're gonna put the bucket in the grave with you if you fall out of the boat, man. It's ridiculous.
Are you saying the demographic
has changed? That would be exactly what I'm saying. In a kind, politically correct way, that's exactly what I'm saying. The other way I'm saying, these motherfuckers don't need to run the river no more, man. That's exactly what I'm saying. Is that right there?
Well, I agree, but then from a liability and even a PR standpoint, you can't tell them that.
No, you can't. But and it is one of the great things about the company that I work for, as a trip leader. And there are times that I'll hedge the bets on it, but I've gotten to the point now the last 10 or more years that if I get people that admit to me that they cannot swim, or I have somebody that I think they can't go, I'm pretty good about talking them out of it. But my company, my bosses at Adventures on the Gorge, if I tell them they can't go, and they have backed me up 100%, They have never not once backed me up.
Yeah.
So that's
And
happened?
I hardly ever pull that card.
Yeah.
Because usually I'm able to talk, hey, man, we got this thing called the Lower Golly.
Yeah.
You're here for your 7:05. The Lower Golly don't leave till 9:30. And you got plenty of time to go get a cup of coffee, some breakfast, and do some prayers. Because the Lower Golly is still the Golly, but they have always backed me up, and I'll go on record
I
as
love that section of river, though. If
The
it
Lower
sat
Golly's beautiful.
If it sat anywhere besides below the Upper Golly, it would get so much more love and respect.
This is
Some
a
of the
true
largest
statement.
runnable waves and holes on the Golly at all.
Oh, they're the 4 to 5 best hits on the entire river on the Lower Golly.
Oh, absolutely. The Lower Golly, Hellhole, Mash, even going through Coonces, hit 2 or 3 of those. If it sat anywhere but where it sat, it'd get a lot more attention and love.
Mm.
Plus, it's a funner play trip for me on it. I don't have to be all intense like I do on the upper.
But like you said, it is still a class 4+ section of Whitewater, and it's epic.
Yeah. Well, and with the changing demographic, I think it takes and we can do more media. There's tons of content out there to get people into a progression of paddling. So it's come do New River at low water.
Yeah.
July, August, you do the New River. Come back, do the New River spring, high water.
Absolutely.
Come back the next fall, do the Lower Golly, get that step up, then work your way to Upper Golly. I wish we would do a little bit more of that progression, and that's where you check things off.
I think that lies on us as guides, or when we were professional, everybody, especially when you're younger, like we've talked about, like, I don't want to do the Upper Golly commercially anymore. I have the skill. My strength, I don't want to take, as Ray so elegantly put, a bunch of people, bunch of mouth breathers from wherever, been sitting on the couch, not that I'm in the best shape. Me, I'll do the Upper Golly with my friends. I'll do a play trip because I trust these guys. I've taken them down, friends several times. But all the guys when you're young, hey, come request me on the Upper Golly. Oh, you're ready when they slop down the lower new, barely making it through, bouncing off everything. Or if they request me, I'll get that Upper Golly trip, even though I've been working the lower. If I get that request, they'll put me on. It's that. I have to run the upper because that's what the guys around here do.
Yeah, competitive to get the work.
Yes.
The thing is true. Like I said, I've been coming here since 92. So this is 34 seasons. And starting 3 years ago, I did over 15 Upper Golly trips. 2 years ago, I took, I did my 5 overnights and 5 more Upper Golly trips. Last year, I did 3 overnights and 2 more Upper Golly. And this year, I just did 1 Upper Golly request. I get paid the same amount of money to do the Lower Golly. I'm a 61-year-old man. I got nothing left. I got plenty of video evidence that I can screw everyone and wrap this up. I don't even need to add to the library. But it is true. And I understand these younger kids wanting to do it because I was that guy, man. Even just as recently as 4 years ago, I was still... at the age of 57, I was still putting in over 15 up. But you rent the one day I did it this year, and it's a crew that I'd taken for 17 years down the Upper Golly on overnight. The greatest crew I've ever had on any river anywhere of all the rivers ever. They're the most amazing crew, and I could not have run it better. Yeah, did I go into Room Doom? No, I did not. But I styled the river that day. And then went down and did the overnight. And that next morning, and I did it perfect, as close as perfect as you could. And I could hardly get off my Paco pad, man. I still felt like I was in a 20-mile-an-hour car wreck. And as soon as, but if I'd have run the pour over at the top of it, or done anything else wrong, whether I went in, it would have felt even worse. I mean, it's brutal, man.
That's a long-winded way to say you're old, Ray Ray. That's exactly a long way around to say you're old. But I get it. I get it.
But I'm backing off it now. And this one crew last year, I did it for, like I said, I did it for 5 requests, and then this year I just did. And if this group doesn't request me next year, well, I've stepped off. But I got nothing left to prove up there, but there is something about your ego, though, that still wants you to go up there. And what you're talking about, though, is, but when I was a young kid, even though, we've always gotten paid the same to run the Lower Golly, but when I was younger, it's like, damn, I'm getting paid the same, but I want to be on the Upper G. And I get it. Like you were saying, I get it. And it is a rush. And it is an honor and a privilege to be an Upper Golly guide. And I hope every young person that younger guide understands the privilege. And there is a time that you do get old and you can't do it anymore. And it does kind of hurt your pride a little bit, but at the same time, it's the right call to make, man.
Oh, yeah.
Because like you said, if I crash, man, in a pool on a flip drill, I could eventually climb myself up on the bottom of that boat if I turned it over in a pool. But I go upside down at 6-pack. I probably ain't getting that thing done for a third drop. I'm probably not. I'm probably not getting it done. And so trying. I don't need to be up there no more.
Yeah, I'm not trying. At that point, I'm not going to lie. It's save myself. And I don't want to. I'm going to swim as hard right as I can and hope I make that right eddy.
What do you think, Mel?
Well, I stopped guiding the Upper Gauley. I was just trying to think, like probably 3 or 4 seasons ago.
I remember we worked in the Upper Gauley plenty of times.
Yeah, but I'm not guiding full time. And then I haven't guided full time for, I don't know how long, 15 years or something. So I don't know the other guides as well either. And then we merged.
That has a lot to do with it too.
Yes, I don't know where I'm
plus,
at.
Like we talked about the guests we're taking, they're not the same place, right?
And how about the rafts? So when we merged with companies too, it's a different raft. The company I came from, the rafts I used before were PVC plastic.
And they are a big deal.
That held real tight. Now we're in a floppier, softer raft. It's got flex. It moves different. And I'm like, you put all those variables together and then I'm not out there consistently. And those last couple times I'm out there, I'm like, this is 10 times more stress and it is fun. I'm not doing this for the paycheck. Yeah. And I'm going to spend my time doing something else. And thankfully had opportunities with raft racing. So I'm still, I'll run the Upper Gauley all day long. Yeah. With whomever, friend,
Right. I'm the same way. I would go rafting with the 4 of us in this room on the Upper Gauley tomorrow in a second. But, and like I said, my buddies and stuff, I would go up there in a second.
Yeah.
But, and at the same time, I am still in it to make money. I am still a professional river guide. I get paid the same to run the Lower Gauley, but it's not as hard as on my body.
Yeah.
And I still count on this to make a living. Mm-hmm. And if I break myself on the upper G and then I got to miss days and all of a sudden I ain't making a living anymore.
Yeah.
And so all these things come into play and I'm not the only one. Charlie's not, Melanie's not the only one. There are a lot of us that you get to the point to where you've just done it enough and you got nothing left to prove. At the same time, the one time I went to the Upper Gauley this year and I styled it, oh my God, dude. The rush. It's like the greatest rush. Am I lying? Yeah. No, it's like the greatest rush in the world.
Last Sunday, same thing. I went left to the pour over for the first time in 25 years.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook. Yeah.
I'm a creature of habit. I found something like I don't go left at third drop. I catch that right eddy. And like you said, it was a smooth day. The previous Sunday, a little less smooth. And like you said, I ran where I wanted. I didn't get beat up, but for 2-3 days after, my back, my head, man. And it was as smooth as I thought it could have been. And I was hurting for 3 days.
The Upper Gauley's top 10 in the world for a reason, man. It ain't no joke.
Oh, so it is top 2? It ain't no joke.
Top 10. It's considered a commercially run section of Whitewater. Some consider it top 10 in the world. If it's not top 10, it's definitely top 20.
Yeah.
Commercially run, not meaning,
gotcha.
But there are exceptions. But here, I'd like to take that out of the equation. Top 10, it doesn't matter. Upper Gauley River ain't no joke. And in September and October, in the northern hemisphere of our entire world, there ain't nothing else running that's worth a damn, because anything else that would be better, there ain't no water in it, because that's why everybody shows up here to run that river.
You can go anywhere, at least in the United States and probably anywhere in the world, and in the rafting community, any other river, and say, I'm an Upper Gauley guy. I've been doing it 5 years, 10 years. And you get respect, and they'll probably know, hey, okay, you can guide this river. You just need to see it once, twice, however many.
That's a true story.
It's transferable.
I got you. Okay. And by commercially, you mean like it's top 10 as in anyone can go and pay.
People right. Yeah. A commercial. Now there are rivers here in the east and out west and stuff. And like out west, commercially, you can run Gore Canyon. I think pretty much in our country right now, it'd be Gore Canyon, Cherry Creek, Tuolumne, or 6 Mile in Alaska. Those are probably the only ones rated above this one. But their window is a lot shorter. and et cetera, et cetera. And those would be probably considered more difficult. They are more difficult, but the galley's still in the conversation. But what they're talking about, they're very short seasons and stuff. But for a galley season, commercially speaking, if we're not top 10, we're definitely top 20 in the world for people being able to pay and go rafting.
Gotcha.
Short and unpredictable.
Yes.
Because of snowmelt. We're guaranteed a number of days. But of course, you guys, my company growing up never did it. You guys that did like the summer golly or the ducky trips or the low water golly. See, Rivers never did that coming up. So I didn't get a lot of those.
Yeah, but that's a good point about the extended season. And I've seen that over the years growing up in the raft company. And I'd say to people, I felt like I traveled and met so many people from so many places because they passed through the raft company all of those years because we had the longest season. You can raft from April to October with guaranteed water, lots of guests, lots of work.
Yeah.
And so it's a sought after place to be a river guide.
How many people would you estimate come every year? Is there numbers of like?
There's numbers out there. I've lost track of exact, but I think it's 200,000.
200,000?
You could probably find it in the 90s. I think it was probably more like 300 or something.
The river traffic, and she touched on it earlier, peaked late 90s, early 2000, 98 to 2001. And that's another thing, talking about the park, not getting any of the politics. Even the raft companies. The raft companies have also evolved and changed. It used to be, you come, you camp, you raft, we threw lunch or dinner at you. But now, they're resorts, zip lining, ATVing, jeeping. They build the pools, the cabins, real estate. Right. People will go to Adventures or Ace or any of these companies and rent a cabin and maybe not do anything that they offer. They may eat a meal there. And so raft companies' numbers aren't necessarily meaning rafting numbers now.
Did you see a spike when the national park designation hit?
Oh yeah.
People really?
Traffic.
People showing up.
I think it was more traffic in town.
Yeah.
Rafting wise, we would not know. Actually, Melanie and her family were well involved in Songer when it first started, and she would probably be someone to ask about those things more than Charlie or myself, because she and her family have, and then what she does now, and you need to say what it is you do now, the job that you do now, she is probably more qualified to answer that question.
She's probably more qualified to answer any question.
I mean,
on any subject.
We all agree she's the most qualified.
Yeah.
In this room,
as long as we're being honest.
But seriously, she knows more because tell them everything else you do.
Yeah, and my family got out of the industry. We merged in 2011. I hung around for a couple years, but realized I needed, another direction to go in. So I wasn't as tied to the industry with the national park designation, but it coincided with COVID. And so we know that also impacted people doing more outdoor rec, leaving DC, coming to West Virginia, So yeah, that all kind of happened.
Buying up the houses, making them expensive.
Yeah, Airbnbs all over the place, that kind of thing. So, that definitely spiked up the rafting seats.
Gotcha. That's good to know. And if I'm hearing it right, like it's pretty much maxed out anyway because of the permit process.
No, there's people out there not using all of their permit. They're holding them because they don't want someone else to use them.
That's what I was touching on. Why would I sell you an unused, like, let's say, just to throw numbers, keep it easy. Let's say I'm allowed to take 1,000 people rafting on my busiest day. Well, we don't do more than 500. But why would they sell me, Ray Ray or Mel, if we wanted to go in their seats that they're not using? Because, even though we'll probably still at our 500, what if part of that 500 we're taking down,
Gotcha.
sees these guys, and now it's 450 and 4, and they're taking 100.
Back in the day, I know my mom would reach out to other
and have to
raft company owners and just borrow.
Yeah.
So Paul Brewer, for example, of Mount River Tours, was super kind and nice. And my mom would say, hey, we're going to be 50 people over. Can we borrow your seats? And they would just exchange written documentation and go on about their day.
See, the type of person I am, I would feel so guilty that I'm holding 500 seats. I'm not a real, business-driven person.
And they won't come off of them. They would for a huge amount of money, but the value isn't. Who knows what?
Could you work out I'll lease these off you? Like
I don't know how that liability falls.
Okay.
But
gotcha.
I'm sure you can buy anything you want in the world.
Right. Right. I mean, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, everything would have a price. But
Sure.
again,
So we'll see. There's still room for evolution because there's small company owners who are of that generation coming up to retirement that will need to do something.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like the original owners were all buddies. Is that wrong or right? Ish.
It's ish.
Like anything.
it's
So
still
we-
a business.
So the company I worked for years before I went to Class 6 was owned by a man named Seay, and he was the largest private landowner in the state of West Virginia. He owned from Sweets Falls all the way down to Bucklick, River right of Golly, and then owned a bunch of stuff on the New River, and then including all the way down to Taze. And then he went into business in some ways with the boys that started Class 6, which were Jeff and Doug Proctor and Dave Arnold and Catfish, and then Paul Brewer got into business with him a little bit as well as who was it that owned NAR?
Frank Lucas.
Frank
Thank
Lucas, and all of them kind of went into business together, and they got this tunnel done. But there was a lot of almost all of that was private property from Fayette Station down at, and then of course John Dragon owned Fayette Station on the left, and then on the Golly, then river left from Woods Ferry down was where Ace and Paul Brewer and all owned, and then river right was where the Arnolds and all along with and the Proctors along with Seay. So there was a lot of this stuff that was going on, and so yeah, they had partnerships. Melanie might know a little bit more about it because her mom and her family were actually involved in ownership. Charlie and I just know that there were some things that worked out, and there were some things that were nefarious, and there's some things that, and then you threw in Rivers on top of it, and they had their own ball game going on. So there were things that we were not privy to, but there were things that definitely worked out together. And exactly what those were, I don't want to speak to them because I'd be ignorant if I started to speak to them. But there were definitely deals that were going on that we don't know about.
The other entity and all that, it was the government itself pushing in the 70s to be under park control, and definitely rumored or legends, maybe some nefarious dealing from the good old U.S. government. But of course, I don't believe that one bit.
So, I
love the government.
So it's basic business.
Yeah,
I mean, any industry
right.
You
has
can
its
be
stuff.
good friends,
Right.
but when it comes down to your dollar,
Something tells me it'd be probably similar to the way the NFL owners or the NBA owners or all that they work together till they don't.
Sure,
that would be the way. But again, I'm not going to speak to it. There are other people that have been around a long time, like the Weatherfords and people like that.
Well, let's
that might
give a
know more
shout
about
out to Jay Young's book. So, Whitewater
yeah.
Rafting on West Virginia's New and Golly Rivers. Come on, the water's weird. So, Jay Young's book details those first
What's
couple
the book
of years.
called?
Whitewater Rafting on West Virginia's New and Golly Rivers. Come on in, the water's weird.
I have terrible memory. Let's see.
That's all right.
Rafting. Come on in. The water's weird. I like it.
yeah.
And I just reread it because I'm going to host a Women of Whitewater historic event in a couple weeks to be a fundraiser for the raft race team. So I'm trying to get back into what the first days were and who was doing what, really to start logging the first women in the whitewater industry because it's not really laid out anywhere.
Yeah.
Which has been a fun
shout out.
journey.
Now available on Amazon paperback, $21.99.
There you go. Put it out there.
Shout out.
And by
You
the
can go
way,
get it at
I would
also.
like to make this statement right now.
Sure.
One of the greatest things that ever happened to me becoming a river guide, especially as a guy that was born in 1964, it was one of my first lessons in why am I a misogynist? And you're not necessarily you don't necessarily think you're a misogynist, but you know, growing up in those days, you thought women. One of the greatest lessons I ever learned is women do this job as well, if not better, than men do. And it's because you still have to be an athlete. But compared to the strength of the river, nobody's stronger than the river. And it was one of my greatest lessons I ever learned in my life as a river guide, was learning that women are my equal, if not my better, and more times that they're my better. So I just want to make that statement.
Dude,
right
Melanie can do like a
thanks,
back
Ray Ray.
handspring on a paddleboard going down a
And the Sweets of the East, by the way, donate to, even if it's $10, $20, donate to the Sweets of the East. They're going to represent not just women, but the state of West Virginia and the New and Golly Rivers. Donate to them. And that is it for this commercial.
Let's go.
I think, though, that you're right. We're talking about the industry evolving. That was even then, 97. Even to now, I still think there's that stigma. Just speaking from what I see about, it's Raft Guide Barbie. It's, I'd like to think it's changed since I started. And I'm not saying that I was the most evolved person as a 20-year-old kid from West Virginia that had never really left West Virginia or been anywhere.
If you've seen a picture of your face, you're devolving. Really,
there you go. But I think that's still an issue that the women, they might actually have to be better to get
and they do
earn their respect.
They do. They have to work harder, and they shouldn't, but they do, and they are every bit as good as men are. And they're amazing. And I hate it now when I used to say a female river guide. Now I just say that's a river guide. Not a female, it's a river guide. Yeah. End of story.
Well, let me tell you that I've met resistance with other women. So women as guests also can have that perception of like, why don't I have a guy as a guide? Have you ever thought of that? Like, how hard it is to
I've personally seen it.
Warm up to some
and it's a
ladies,
bunch of bullshit, frankly.
But and that's your character building. That's the lessons this job teaches you. It's the experiences you learn on how to relate to those individuals and be like, we're going to have a great day, and this is how we're going to go about it. And I'm here to help you enjoy your day. And
that's what me and Ray Ray were talking about a little bit, like to touch on me, as 19, 20-year-old kid. I think I'd left West Virginia, maybe one trip to Virginia Beach and one trip to Indiana with my grandparents to see a cousin. Like for years, even as a raft guide starting out, the world came to me because of the river, every state of the Union, countries. I was telling him, like one time when it was still Czechoslovakia and when they were splitting up, taking down basically people that were political asylum, they'd come down from DC. So that's probably one reason I've stuck with the river, and probably all of us have, like she said, well, doesn't guide commercial anymore. I try not to, but I'm still here. The people I've met along the way, literally lifelong friends, my best friends. And I was telling Chaz when I was taking him to his appointment today, talking about water. I said, well, when you talk about water, you're asking about rapids. Well, what makes a river? It's rocks and water. And it's gravity, but it's rocks and water. That's what it is, but that's not all it is. When you say a brotherhood and sisterhood, I truly believe that. And like talking to Chaz, knowing his situation and everything, if it weren't for the river, there is no way. And he's one of my best friends. We traveled together. There is no way in hell outside of being on the river with him that we would have ever met, ever become close. There's just no way. And that river is, even though it may be a little resistant for some, it doesn't judge. Like I said, the female raft guide, wherever you're from, it doesn't judge. You get respect if you can get it done. And that's probably why I'll do it till I can't. And if with any luck, my little girl will start doing it for me if I can pull her back in. She's starting to pull away, but with any luck, when I can't take myself down, she'll do it for me.
Well,
I love that.
You know our good buddy, that we all know him, one of the greatest of all time, still with us today, but backing off the river, a man named Doug Ludwig. One of my favorite lines from his safety talk, which y'all just need to remember. It comes down to every safety talk, you have to let them know they can back off the river if they want.
Yeah.
He said, y'all need to remember that this river, it does not care. It has no judgment, whether you're rich, poor, righteous, or wicked.
Yeah.
It treats everybody the same.
Amen.
And if you don't want to go rafting today, you don't have to go rafting. But there are no favorites. And that is Dougie Lugg, one of the best that's ever done it, too.
That's a lot more poetic way of saying it than I do.
Well, he's way more poetic than myself, but I've always loved that line. I've never stolen it from him because I feel like that it needs to be his. But I've always thought it was brilliant. And it is perfect. And it's exactly what you were talking about.
It's the way it's you're equal out there until you're not.
If only everything was like that. One more question before we get into some experiences. So you go by these little houses on the side of the river. Is there a loophole that these people can just live in these houses? Are they for rent? What is going on down there?
Most of them grandfathered in before the 1977 National River designation.
Okay. What are they?
Fishing cabins.
Okay.
Or whatever.
Are there people that live there like year round?
Yes.
Yes.
A few.
Above Thurmond.
Not many. But
the ones between Stone Cliff are definitely more livable. The ones below Tays are more like fishing cabins.
Yeah, Hawks Nest Lake, because there's no road. You've got to walk in.
But from Thurmond to Fayette Station, there's one old cabin that's still owned by one old guy. River right there above Double Z.
Down there below the what is that? Nuttleburg Park.
Right. Yeah. But he's the only one left there. Mm-hmm. But the rest of it, like Melanie said.
No, well, I don't know what it takes to live down there, like what bills you pay. I mean, I guess you have electricity. I don't know.
Oh, no, there's electricity.
Oh, is there? Okay.
So, I mean, even like in Thayer, I mean, they have electricity, and I'm sure.
Right. Again, anything above Thurmond and anything below the bridge, a lot of that's private, and a lot of that's wired.
Got it.
But from the bridge to Thurmond, that is all now national park. It is all. And
minus that, like you said, the one home,
and that's grandfather. And I think the rule on it is if he wills it to a member of his family, you stay there. But if not, then the park.
That's what I've heard.
That's what I've heard as well. I don't know if that's fact.
Yeah, I don't either. I've heard the same.
That Nuttleburg's amazing too. So the national park runs that, right? Don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The river's been under national park control since 1977. It just wasn't a national park like Melanie called it. It was a national river.
Yeah.
And they did, when the park come in, they did increase the size and preserve some of it, but it's been under National Park Service control for 40 years ago now, 30?
I think
surely it's not as old as I am.
I think it was 78 when it officially became a national river.
Bridge completed in 77.
October 22nd, and then 78 it became a national river. Yin Yang.
Yeah, but it's still been under the control. It just wasn't designated as a park.
Gotcha.
Or better or worse.
And then they did the designation, and there's a lot of other issues that Melanie probably knows a lot about, of like the size of trails, like needing to be wide enough, bathrooms.
Yep.
Like there's a lot of problems popping up because of that.
Yeah. Increased visitation without an investment in the resources and assets that are here.
Yeah,
so
infrastructure.
Infrastructure stuff. So I think, a lot of folks have put out good efforts just to make that known to the visitors that here are popular trails. So you need to go there on the off times.
Yeah.
Don't think that you can just pull up there on a sunny Sunday at 1 p.m.
Yeah.
And pick up your freaking trash and pick up someone else's trash.
In all fairness, locals, and I'm one, I've been here my whole life, so I don't know if it's derogatory term, hillbillies, rednecks, which I consider myself both. I don't consider them derogatory.
Lord, yeah.
The locals leave just as much trash along that river and trails and lakes than any tourists do. The tourists leave some, but I actually feel probably they are worse than most of the tourists, because most of the tourists that are coming to do ecotourism are a little more thoughtful than, hey, I've lived here. Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree with Charlie on that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of fishing trash out there.
Yes. I hate to, I don't hate to call out my fellow freaking hillbillies and West Virginians and locals. Pick up after yourself.
Oh, yeah. We can be trashy. Listen, and you're not going to go across country, with your 5-gallon water bottle that you've used for 10 years and then throw trash on the ground. Yeah. Like they're going to pick it up. So that makes sense. All right, let's get into some stories. So is there a point in time, and any one of y'all can take this first, but like where you got in a situation for the first time that you thought that you could potentially get hurt, or like what is one of the most dangerous trips you've ever been on? Is there one that comes to mind? Yeah, go ahead, Melanie.
Okay, so back in the day, Me and my best friend, Jan Jones, rest her soul.
God bless Jan. God bless.
We had a 2-boat trip late afternoon. So I think it was meet the guests at 2:00 or something, late summer, lower water. We get on the water. It's a church group. And so everybody knows everybody. And there's some teenagers and a couple adults, yada, yada. We start down the river. One of the warm-up rapids, hip kick, as these guys know. Jayanne is behind me and I turn around and she is pinned on the center rock. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so a couple people peel out, fall out while the boat's pinned. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm getting them and I'm going to shore with my boat and my people. And so by the time I get them situated, I walk up around the trees and rocks and get up to across from her so I can look at her to try to communicate with her. She's slowly letting people out of the boat and they can kind of gently swim around to go to shore so that she can manage the raft. And so I'm talking to a few people. I turn back around and she's not in the boat anymore. She fell out herself. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now it's the two of us. And we have a pinned boat out in the middle of the river without many resources. And it's later in the day. So here I'm flagging down some kayakers to be like, help me. Like, we need to get a rope hooked in there. So I think it was Peyton Love who, stopped and volunteered to help. So getting a strap rigged up. I'm rigging up on the shoreline with a Z-drag system, like a 3-to-1 mechanical advantage, getting all my tools in place. I've done all the trainings, start cranking on that thing, as hard as I can. Well, ultimately there's a weak point. So something breaks. There's something on the boat, whatever breaks. I fly back and land on this pointed rock on the middle of my spine. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is insane pain. Like the flash of white light through my eyes. As I sit back up to be like, I've got to keep doing things. So, take your breaths, do whatever. And at that point realize like, okay, this is too much. There's too much weight. This is too much water pressure to pull this off. So we started radioing back to base. So we get more raft guides driving in, bringing resources, So, here time passes by. These people are getting restless. They don't understand why. Just go get that boat. Why don't you go get that boat? Mm-hmm. And we're just like, you need to calm down. And like, we to the point we were like, give us a minute. I can't appease you right now. And I'm sorry, I can't. Mm-hmm. And so they didn't like that as much because they honestly weren't getting a lot of consoling. Mm-hmm. And so here come the other guides. We're figuring out things with them. We trade boats out. So they get us in boats. We get the guests in. We complete the trip because they have a flight that night. So we hurry down and they're grumpy and they're just so upset, off-put by these circumstances. Miss their flight, demand a refund, talking to my stepdad. He's upset that we were, did all, it's just this whole fiasco when we get back. And then these guides don't get out till midnight from getting that boat unpinned that was down there.
How does the boat get pinned? What causes that?
They're self-bailing boats, so water can come in and then go out of the inflated floor. So any water that comes in goes out. It's like its own floating device. But when it comes up and breaches against a rock, and it can get that bit of a suck and dip with water pressure on one side, and if it continues to fill that boat and water pressure on it, the soft plastic rubber of the raft will wrap around the rock because it's consistent water pressure pushing on it. So typically you have to deflate one piece or another part or put a rope system inside it and try to like squeeze the boat together, just move it in a different way so it releases some amount of water pressure somewhere off of it. Wow. But it's a whole guessing game on how you're going to do it. There's strategies, whatever.
Is that the same? Like I'll see like a boat, there'll be a guide that'll go up against a rapid and just, looks like he's doing something fun for the guests where they'll just sit there and they'll float in
surfing, I believe you're describing.
Surfing? Okay.
Yeah, we can play and surf.
Okay.
Pinning is not play.
Gotcha.
No, pin, it's just water's heavy. And when you mix it with gravity, it's powerful. I mean, we've all seen videos of it moving houses in extreme situations. So just like she said, that boat literally can wrap around a rock because it is rubber, and maybe one reason you like a less spongy boat. But I hear a certain company is demoing a nice American-made product, and maybe there's hope. Nice. I've heard. And yeah, the water, like you said, it can just hold it there.
That's a good way to put it. Like we tend to forget how powerful this stuff actually is. I mean, floods take away communities for a reason. because it's just never ending power going, just over and over and over again. And I can see how some precarious situations will pop up.
Yeah,
and
it's very careful.
And it's kind of like I said before about how to be a river guide, you have to be athletic. You do have to have certain strengths, but I'm not a very large man, but people like myself and women, a lot of times we actually, and like when we train, we actually learn it faster. Like all the years I've trained, smaller men like myself and women actually pick it up faster because you don't try to overpower it. Just because you can maybe bench press 200 more pounds on dry ground than I can compared to the river, that don't mean shit.
Yeah.
And it so
I was gonna say it sounds like
the whole thing is it's you have to learn how, and smaller people and women and smaller people like myself and all, you got to learn how to use the water and to use it to your benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest deal about rafting, is because it is so much stronger than all of us. You could have a boat full of 8 professional NFL linemen, and they ain't stronger than the river.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's just the truth.
It sounds like the movement is way more important than the strength.
So I'm not going to call my crew paddle harder, paddle harder. I'm going to call paddle quality.
Yeah.
I want quality. That means the depth of the paddle, the reach of the stroke.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite crews ever for about 4 years in a row before I went into LPN school was a Girl Scout group. They would come and do overnights, and I got to watch these, go from little 11, 12 to 16 till they aged out or I aged out. And I would put them up against any frat boys I had, any weightlifters, bodybuilders, because they listened.
Right.
They weren't in competition with each other. When I said paddle, they paddled together. They would yell stroke, and I never missed a surf hole in 4 years with them.
Right.
And when it come time to set camp, they weren't, like Boy Scouts wouldn't do grab and all that, and they loved it. And I would have put them girls up against any crew I've had and all those times.
I'll put them up against my Amish sisters who put their wetsuits on under their dresses in full attire and rafted in April.
The last
that's awesome.
commercial trip I took, a group of Amish with WBA, they were going to borrow my boat, and I took them down.
You explain what you need to happen?
This was a mix of men and women, and they were on anniversary, but same thing. They listened, and will say this. They were funny as all get out. They made some jokes about some subjects I did not think the Amish would be joking about. I'll leave it at that.
Did the Girl Scouts bring Samoas, the cookies?
Not the first year, but if they wanted to come with me again, yes, that's my favorite.
It's so good.
But yeah, it's
that makes sense. It makes sense. So, all right, another situation. What about you, Charles? I know you got one in mind.
Man, I have been lucky, very lucky not to get in anything super dark. Me personally, where I thought I was in trouble, it only happened on some private trips. But I think commercially, it was early on in my career, and I think it may have been my first or second time trip leading. But the incident at Middle Keeney's, me personally. But if I had to pick out one time that I thought, like, okay, this may be the last raft trip I ever take, it was my second year. It was the infamous, if you guys hear old Rivers guys talk about, because we're the only one in the gorge, infamous Mark That at 12 day. And if any old Rivers guys are out there, you know what I'm talking about. We put on at Stonecliff. All the other companies either went to the galley or pushed up and ran the upper new. We call it Market at 12 because Spook, or bus driver, had called in and said the trash cans were floating. And our overall manager at the time said, yeah, copy that, Market at 12, because, Rivers was real large then. This would be 98. We were committed, and 4-boat trip, Danny Gollett, me, Stephen Reed's first commercial trip. He's a hell of a guy, better guy now for being Debbie Brown now.
Oh.
Debbie McGinnis time. 4-boat trip.
Another legend.
Danny Gollett, Old Man River been out there. He's running first. I'm running second. Steve's running third, and Debbie's sweeping it up. And we put on, and everything's going good. We get down to Double Z. Again, like you said, I'm doing good. Danny's done made it past as I float past, I call it the Tater bin because Tate had an incident there, but Barry's. So I turn, you do your due diligence. You turn around, you look back, you cover. Well, I turned around. Steve's fine. Debbie's fine. I turn back around. Danny's upside down in those haystacks down there. So I turn around to blow my whistle. As I turn to blow my whistle, Debbie's upside down. And this river's, when we took off, our first trips went down to Fayette. We were the third or fourth. We took out of Buffet. But I know when we took off, it was over 17 feet. Don't worry, I think statue's up. Nobody got hurt. But so, well, Debbie, miraculous. I don't know how she got on that raft as quick as she did. She got on and flipped it, but as soon as she hit the water, it flipped back upside down. I mean, so I've got people here, there, and they're moving fast. There's no eddies. So Stephen Reed, it's being his first trip. He's like, what do I do? I'd kind of caught some slow water. It's like, you chase Danny. I'll get Debbie's. Because I saw like one person like hanging on to like the tree, it was up at, I swear it was up at high. And we start getting everybody together. Everything's going down. And I'm going down the river now. I'm by myself, 10 people in the boat, 11, 12, picking up people. And I don't see anybody. Finally there, river left above Miller's. I see a boat. I don't know who it is. Turns out to be Steve Reed's, and I see Danny on the bank. I didn't know, I look at him, still ain't seen Debbie. I was like, because I had to wait on this one guy. I can't leave him behind. And then I look at like, Danny, what do you want me to do? He's like, go after Debbie. I finally catch Debbie freaking well below Miller's, but above Fayette. But Danny's boat, and I knew it was his boat because he had his old Schneider stick on there, like in the eddy behind what would be the upper chicken beak, bloody nose, and get the boat. Finally meet Debbie. Here comes Steve and Danny later. But, I'm second year guide. I'm not a trip leader. I'm not a sweep. I'm not a first year guide, not a rookie anymore. And so I give the radio and we're trying to get a count. And Debbie, she, radioing in what's going on. And like, how many people got? Well, we don't know. We can tell you how many we got here. We don't know how many's up there with Danny and Steve. And we are just 100% lucky that nobody, well, quite frankly, die that day, but nobody got injured.
Yeah. And
Danny Gollett said it best. We get everything done. We go into river manager's office. He's smoking that cigar he always smoked. And he looks around. We're all just shell sod, 1,000 yards there. Has anybody got anything to say? Not angrily. And we're all just defeated. He goes, I do. And I can't remember how many years he'd been doing. He goes, and he said how many years. He goes, but that river humbled my today.
Yeah.
And me, I got lucky. Didn't have a swimmer. Steven ended up dump trucking over Frog. That's how high it was. Frog was
all the way underwater.
Frog was a pour over. Luckily, he just dumped
you're definitely over. You're definitely over 13 feet because usually there's a little of Frog.
No, it was a pour over. The doggone the thread the needle was a pour over. So I mean, but we just got lucky. But that was the day I almost hung it up because I got lucky, didn't have a swimmer, and it's not skill, it was pure luck. Trust me, it had nothing to do. I'm not better than any of those guides. Definitely not. Well, maybe Stephen Ennis' first trip, but he's, he's become a hell of a guide, better than I've ever been. But yeah, that was the day I thought, like, I'm going to hang it up because it can get serious out here.
Yeah, sure, yeah. And you kept going for 28 years.
And counting.
After that, yeah.
yeah. Well, I haven't done commercial work this year, but there's always next year.
Sure.
Somebody will get desperate and call.
How many guides are there?
Who knows?
No.
It varies.
Yeah.
I just figure y'all know all the guides.
There's 200 adventures on the gorge.
Is there?
Is there still?
Full.
Even after the cleansing?
I would guess full time, meaning 5-6 days a week, from April till the end of October. In the industry around here, there's probably about 200 of us.
Okay.
But there's so many other guides that are weekenders come in for galley and everything else. But between all the companies, full time, 5-6 days a week, or I would say it this way, over 100 days a year, there's probably about 200 of us in the industry that are over 100 days a year. Maybe not even that many.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of them that come in for Friday, Saturday, Sundays and work and stuff like that.
And the work's not there either like it used to be.
No.
If the industry is down, but it's even worldwide or countrywide, it's a small number compared to other extreme sports. What we used to say, we were the lowest paid professional athletes and probably had the smallest numbers.
What's average pay? Okay.
I don't know what are they. Well, see, yours would be over. You're probably making more than what the first year, fifth year guides are.
I'm at the highest end of the scale, and if you average it out per hour that I work, not including and by the way, as far as the IRS is concerned, we receive 0 gratuities.
Never made a tip.
I've never
made a gratuity in my life. The highest end of the industry, you're making a little over $20 an hour.
Sure.
So I think
we're paid by the trip.
Right.
Yeah, $118
that
a
can
trip
change.
after I've been with the company for 26, 27 years.
If you're a senior trip leader working for one of these senior companies, you're talking low 20s per hour.
Sure.
And that's the high end of it with no gratuity. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we receive
no
gratuities.
gratuity. We did not tip our raft guide at all.
Right.
No,
Yeah,
we would love to have a gratuity.
What was it when
but we received none, please.
You
Sure, yeah.
97, right?
97.
90, like
I think it was
55 $55.
Yeah, $55 for a full day. No.
My first ever river trip I worked on the Rio Grande was it was
Three rocks in the sea.
they gave you $20.
Yeah.
Cash money in hand. There was no paperwork, nothing. Every time you got off the river, they handed you $20, and that was it.
And
Gotcha.
that's a full day's work. It's not like we show up, hop on a raft, and go. You're loading rafts sometimes, especially
We're talking
season.
we're talking 7 to 8 hours.
Yeah, well, now, but I mean, on our old golly days, our guide call was 5 a.m. and you might not be done loading boats till 5 p.m. You're talking 8 to 12-hour days. And
now you hope that, your benefits package is that you are in the payroll system so you can get workers' comp if you get hurt.
that you're in the system.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So avoid the cash.
Sure.
Yeah, there's no, yeah.
Because if you get hurt, you've got nothing.
Yeah, you're not getting insurance through the work because you're considered a seasonal employee, which, a lot of people are seasonal.
If you get hurt on the job, though, you do get workman's comp.
I know about, it's over exaggerating, but about lost that toe and got workers' comp from flipping on the golly one year.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. That's good to know. And I'm sure, is there a lot of people it's like a side hustle and they just love doing it?
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what a lot of, like I said, those are your weekenders. And a lot of them at one point in their life, at one point in their career, they were a full-time guide, but then they finished up, that's probably when they were in college or working on their grad degree or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they ended up graduating out, but they still want to get back in the industry. And so, like, we got all kinds of guys that'll drive in from Charleston or Morgantown or Columbus or Cleveland, and they'll come in on a Friday afternoon and they'll get Saturday, Sunday work on the busy days and they'll go home. There are a ton of those guys that do that.
Yeah.
That's
and then local school teachers, school bus drivers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nurses.
Yeah.
Well, you're a perfect example, Melanie. You used to be full-time and now you got a real job, but you still want to have your foot in the industry. So you still work with us.
So I still do 6 or 7 trips a year or more.
That's what I was doing up until this year. I'd worked full-time 4 years, went to LPN school, but I was young, so I could do it. I would work midnights at the hospital at the VA in Beckley, 11 to 7, straight 8 hours, no lunch because, that's how they were. And I would literally drive from Beckley and go straight back and work the river. Did it full time for like 10 years like that, working 2 jobs because, the money was good, but you just, you can't get away from it. Sure. You get that river in you, it's hard to get it out.
Yeah, makes sense. Ray, I know the only tip I remember is one that you said on the bus, and it was hold on to the T because of the paddle.
The T grip. Right.
Yeah, because if you don't, it'll end up hitting you in the face eventually or something like that. That's the only thing I remember.
I'll tell you exactly what I said. I said, right here in your hand is is both your best friend and your worst enemy. It's called a paddle. It's not an oar, it's a paddle. And we're paddling. We're not rowing. We're not oaring. We're paddling. Yep. It comes in 3 sections, the blade, the shaft, and the T-grip. Then I pointed the blade and said, for those of y'all from Ohio, by West Virginia state law, I'm required to notify you that this end goes in the river. But this T-grip right here is the most dangerous thing on the water. It has a special magnetic property attracted to nose bone, tooth enamel, and eye socket.
That's why I remember that. Okay, yeah.
He's not lying. I lost a tooth to a T-grip and I don't know, well before I had insurance or nursing and had it pulled out, but I had that to my tip talk. That's not what happened, but it did this to my nose.
Oh wow, yeah. Oh, was it cracking?
Nice. Well, yeah. So T-grip.
I've
surfing greyhound.
I've had my nose broken multiple times by people sitting in front of me with their hand off their T-grip, comes out and slaps me in the face. The best part, or the worst part about it is, there are two things in the med kit that I actually use. Actually, I don't put them in the med kit because anytime you open the med kit, you got to report it. But in my what I call the boo-boo kit, the two things I use the most are duct tape and tampons.
Yep.
And tampons, and I've done it to myself, but I've done it to other people. Somebody breaks a nose, and it's happened more times than I can count.
Yep.
Shove a tampon up their nose. One, it relocates their nose for them. And two, what's the purpose of a tampon? To collect blood. I've also, when people have lost teeth, anything, mouth injuries, shove a tampon in there, stops the bleeding inside their mouth.
Excellent.
And then duct tape, get ready to get the pause button out. Can't duck it, you got to it. All right. So if duct tape don't fix it, it don't. But the rules of thumb on the river, and is if there are injuries, and we hope to always avoid them, but our rules on the river, we all have advanced wilderness medicine to work out there. You have to, as well as CPR and everything else. But the rule of thumb: stop bleeding, keep them breathing. Well, get them to a meat wagon. And duct tape and tampons do it better than anything else.
That's good to know.
It's any wilderness thing.
That's true.
We package them. It's like anything, package them until higher medical authority arrives, and that's the ambulance or park service that can get them to an ambulance or a hospital. That's
right.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that we do as guides, and we have gotten way better at it, and it is one reason why I think more and more people, back in the 80s and 90s, when we were figuring out, a lot of more people did get broke, and a lot of more people did get seriously injured and worse. But as we've gotten better at it, and percentage-wise, your chance of coming, that's why more and more people have thought it's become safer and safer and safer to do it. And actually, a good buddy of mine, another epic river guide named Wayne Baker, that when he would start his safety talk, he said, "This is supposed to be a safety talk." Well, I'm telling you right now, there ain't nothing safe about what you're going to do. What we're going to do is try to minimize the danger. And that is actually what we do. We try to minimize the danger because people getting hurt ain't fun. And so that's what we do. And we're trained really well at it. But bad things do happen from time to time. But the ultimate object for us to do is take people into an environment where they don't belong all by themselves. And we try to take them down and get them safe. And you break them or you crash them and scare them, then they don't want to go rafting again. And that ain't good for the industry. Yeah. So we want to get them down safe. We want to show them the greatest day of their life and show them the best time of their life without breaking them.
Yeah.
You've been at it longer and you've grown up in the industry. When, like, helmets. I remember helmets being optional for guides when I started, but I see old pictures up at Elliott's or talk to old Butch Christensen.
Mid-late 90s.
Like when did the helmets
mid-late 90s
become mandatory for guests as a risk management?
Mid-late 90s and depending on the river.
Yeah. In 2001, there were updates to DNR.
Yeah,
regulations and things.
I figured the company would make them to say, hey. Well,
there's company policy. Yeah. Like it didn't go into DNR.
Yeah. Like, hey, for our underwriter, like, hey, we'll save $1,000, whatever, on insurance if we make sure every guest wears a helmet.
Yeah. I think one of the most important parts of the trip for me was your role that you played that day, because you kind of set the tone for the whole thing. And you do make some jokes, but they're routed in seriousness, and it sets the tone of like, yeah, this is going to be fun, but also I got to play my part of this team to make sure that we are as safe as possible.
That makes me feel good you got that, because that is my goal. I don't want people to fear it. I want them to respect it.
Yeah.
So I want the respect, but at the same time, I don't want them scared, because if they're scared, then they ain't going to do what they need to do. But I do want them to respect it. So that's exact, and I'm glad it came across with you that way, and I think it does with a lot of people. But that is my goal. I want to put a little bit of humor in it, but at the same time, there are things that are very important. But you don't want fear. Scared people ain't worth a damn to you in the boat. You want them to respect it.
Sure, respect.
But not be afraid, because you still want them to get out there and play hard.
I want a nervousness in them.
Right, yeah.
Because I've always said the day I'm not nervous is the day I quit.
Hey, I'll tell you this, man. When I go to the dam or the new river at Big Water,
any water,
or any water level, but especially at Big Water, I go to the dam. I sit on my raft. I spread my butt cheeks out, sucking hard to get raft up in there. That way, when I come out of the boat, you hear that, and I'll come pick my.
Here, I thought we were being serious for a minute. But when I was training, I cannot remember his last name. He trained the year we did, first one to check out, 97 Ted. Now, for the life of me, I can't remember his last name.
Shout out Ted.
It was long and start with K, but he was
Kanakanui.
Kaczynski.
Was it connected Ted and Kim?
No.
No, okay. He was there. Ted and Kim were a couple. But it started with K, but it was something like that.
Get him, Melanie.
But anyways, he was there, and we're doing a turkey boat or something. He's first one to check out, and one of the young ladies, and God, my memory's so bad. Can't remember who. She said, "Oh, well, I'm nervous, blah blah blah." And he said, she got butterflies. Is what she said. I got butterflies in my stomach. I'm nervous. And she wanted to get rid of them, and he made a good point. And I still say it to this day, like don't dispel the butterflies, make them fly in formation.
That's actually cool.
That nervousness
cool,
is good, because like you said, the day you think you go out there and you're in control, no matter how you could be the best raft guide in the world, be on the line you want. You could be on the perfect line. You could be right where you're supposed to be, and it can still hit the fan.
Right.
So,
you can be perfect. Your crew can be perfect. If the river wants to crash your boat, it's crashing your boat.
So, but that's what I said. The day I get above, even the upper new, the day I'm not a little bit nervous, I retire from all of it.
That's the truth. I always have is whether I'm I'm almost always trip. Whether I'm trip leading or not, the day I don't go to a river and at least feel a little something inside of me going, God help me keep these people safe today. That's the day I'm going to quit the job.
Well, maybe you're nervous for them,
right? Well, no, I'm getting older. I'm no more nervous for me.
Have you ever had an unruly participant? Like anyone ever? Just be.
How long is this podcast? I mean, what are you talking about, man?
Do you want to care about the tens, hundreds, or thousands?
Yeah.
I mean, there's. I mean, we're technically not supposed to take anybody down the river that's been drinking. I forgot the number of times, especially on Golly, but even other times, bachelor parties showing up. They're coming in to check in at 7:30 in the morning with like beer and Jack Daniels in their hand. It's like, boys, this is not going to work for you today.
It's a terrible idea.
I mean, this is not going to happen.
It feels good till that July.
Like I said, you need to have several different episodes of this podcast if you want to hear about unruly people.
I'm definitely planning on
sharing one like years ago
with unruly guys.
Yeah, like unruly, disrespectful.
I mean, anyone ever like blatantly yelled at you or anything?
Oh, that was another guy.
Oh yeah,
I thought
really?
We'll save that for another day.
I've had people get a little surly.
Yeah,
it doesn't last long.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm pretty good at talking about people off the ledge, but yeah, I've had more. Basically, what's happened is a couple of people have been drunk, and I've told them they can't go. And yeah, I've been cursed out before in front of people.
Anybody ever tapped out mid?
Oh, that happens all the time.
They'll try.
They
haven't.
But
you got to talk those people out.
So they don't have an option. There's no secondary road.
Physically are options, but we do not disclose that.
Okay, we don't
people
tell.
who are wussing out.
In all my years, I've had about 3 people that just would literally 100% not go back, and they were completely healthy. They just took a really bad swim. That would literally, but I've had several dozen that got really scared and telling me they wanted to go. And we had to have a come to Jesus meeting and explain to them that what their options were, which were get back in the boat and go down the river. But in all my long career, there have been 3 people that just would literally, they sat down, their family members could not get them up. Nobody could get them up. They were not going back in the boat.
How'd you get them out of there?
You evac them just like if they were hurt.
There's a little
just
road
go to
access.
Evac options.
Gotcha.
I'll tell you a quick story. High water, Lower Golly, going down through and coming around cliffside, rapid, but hugging right. There's a couple big rocks there, higher water. You get some nice holes. Well, the boat in front of me, Eric Merritt, turns real quick and starts surfing right in front of me, and I'm come drop in right
surfing
on.
Or getting surfed?
I don't know. You never knew with him if he was spinning to catch a surf or not. And I was right there. So hit his boat, which stops mine, pushes us in, and half the boat falls out.
Right.
And already had an older woman, who was not, adventurous. She'd been talked into going. This was multi-generational family boat going on here. And so they dump out. So I reach over and I grab, I think it was her husband, pulling him up in. Well, there's another hole and another hit. So as I pull him in, he flies across the boat and he goes out the other side.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh my God. So I grab him again, get him back in. But this woman is not having it. And she is like, I'm done. We are done with all this. Well, there is no access at this point down through there.
Right.
It's very remote on the lower Gauley, the most remote section we do. And so I was like, honey, don't worry. The rest of this river's class 2. We've done all the hard things. That's everything we need to do. Well, we end up going through the last big rapid, pure screaming hell.
Right.
It's not a class 2.
And we get through the rapid and she
You
turns
liar.
around to me and she goes, that is not a class 2 rapid. She said it to me. Well, I turned to her with the same attitude and I said, no, it's a class 5 rapid. Would you rather I told you that back there or right now?
Right. Do you realize the hike through the Copperhead crawl
Yes.
is a class 7?
Work with me here. I do not want this to be more
Meet the local
uncomfortable.
on the 4-wheeler
That's
trying
right.
to walk out.
Right. Or do you want to drive out? Do you want to drive out of Swiss on an Ace bus? That's way more dangerous than this rapid.
That's great. Well,
Ouch.
so you did that on purpose, you wanted her to chill. So you was like, "Oh, we got all the easy
this is
stuff."
all,
Yeah,
it's all good to go from here.
That
Just
makes
ride
sense.
it out. You're going. This is the fastest way to get this her out of this situation.
Bottom line, they signed waivers.
Yep. They signed waivers. We got you now. But what about rescue protocols? Is there a certain protocol if someone gets stuck or something on certain things you supposed to do? Or have you any of you all been on a rescue?
We have
before?
swiftwater rescue training, so there is set strategies for different types of events that are going on. So it can be techniques as easy as walking out to help somebody, easy as using a throw bag rope to help somebody, and more advanced systems where a group of guides can move across the river and across water. You can use other rafts to get to a spot, to get to an unpinned situation. Most of the time you see those more advanced setups and rescue situations happening with private kayakers.
Mm-hmm.
And those kayaks getting stuck, private boaters getting stuck.
Now, I did a story on one. I think it was at Canal Falls.
Yeah, Corey Lilly.
Where is that at?
When the New and the Gauley combine in Gauley Bridge,
Okay.
it then becomes the Canal River.
Oh, okay.
And then it's just a couple half mile downstream.
Technically, it's Glen Ferris.
Mm-hmm.
I believe is the town right by the Glen Ferris Inn. That's if you've driven between here and Charleston, the back way as we call it from Fayetteville. Yeah, their documentary's coming out about that soon if it hasn't released.
I love
the documentary, I believe.
Glen Ferris is haunted. Oh, the rescue.
Yeah, the Canal Falls literally right by the Glen Ferris Inn.
Okay, yeah, I want to have Corey in to tell me about that.
Yeah, he's done quite a few articles about it.
That'd be
And it was
real cool.
many hours through the night
Sure.
in a successful rescue.
Yeah, which you always love to hear.
Because the people that heard about it were experienced with that area, experienced kayakers, and without 100% knowing, they knew where the probability of where he was, and not taking anything away from the local EMS or water rescue, because they helped me out this year, even though I didn't need the help. They responded quickly to a situation I was in, and they worked till the nighttime until it was probably too dangerous for them. And then the guys that got him took over, because just like anything else, it's, your own backyard.
Sure, yeah. And I don't want to talk about any specific tragic accident on the river, but I do want to ask, is there typically something that happens when someone gets severely hurt or killed than others? Is there a certain thing that they do, or do they get stuck under a rock?
It's a lot of rock. It's a lot of undercut rocks, rock entrapment. So they've come out of the boat for one reason or another and go into an area, an obstacle, a feature that's not safe.
Okay.
And that water pressure and the formation that's there that nature's made just is not, is going to hold them underwater for one reason or the other.
So if I'm hearing it correctly, like there's points in the river, and y'all probably know where all these points are, where water pushes down, into
or
the rock.
It can be an undercut rock. So
Okay.
a pile of rocks can lay on a pile of rocks, and there can be gaps, so water can fit between the gaps. But a person or a tree branch, something can't. So that's a strainer, just like you strain your spaghetti. That's happening underwater. So it's moving. So if you're in that place, you become the noodle that doesn't move through the strainer. And it doesn't take much water pressure. You stand in moving water up to your knees, and good luck trying to keep your feet on the bottom of the river. So you imagine water that's over your head, that pressure, it can just overtake you.
Oh, yeah. Well, get in a wave pool and try to stay still.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
The whole movement. And so, debris. So there's other incidences too, where there's been logs and sticks and branches and everything else on the bottom of the river that's stuck. And then a person can get stuck on the debris.
Mm-hmm.
So you just never know. You can know every single rock in the river, but every year that debris is going to change.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Like you said, we know the main points, and that's why Ray was talking about when we were talking about classifications. Like, well, some rapids, you're not just paddling to get to the fun parts. You got to paddle to get away from the bad parts, like the undercuts or the sieves, or just rocks that are so steep, they're going to create swimmers. Biggest danger out there is still probably foot entrapment, which is just what it sounds like. We pound it into folks that comes down head. Don't stand up in moving water. That the new river, second oldest river in the world, arguably, according to geologists. The Gauley less so, but the bottom of the river is not flat and there's cracks. You try to stand up because, it's only 6 inches of water. Try to stand up, your foot literally gets wedged between the rock.
Gotcha.
The bottom of the rock slicker and shit on a marble, and head gets pushed underwater. You're stuck underwater. You can't do a push up on the bottom of the river to get your head out. Best case scenario, somebody happens to be just coming by and maybe get your head, but most times you got to, get a line across or get somebody up to them, and that takes longer than most people who can hold their breath.
Or I have to swim out there and chew your leg off. That takes 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
So it like I said, even knowing everything we know, like the term, we try to negate risk. We try to lower risk.
Yeah.
Right. It's never risk-free. I will never say the river is 100% safe, and I don't care what section.
It's kind of like what I said before, our good buddy Wayne Baker. Nothing we're doing is safe. We're trying to manage risk.
Yeah.
And that is true. I mean, because in theory, it's it's not a log ride, man. I mean, you were on my trip. What's the last thing I say? This ain't Disneyland. It ain't a log ride, man.
Yeah.
It's not a log ride. So it's not technically quote unquote safe. But we're there to manage risk.
Yeah. And people carry your freaking boat. I got out and everybody was like doing their part to carry the boat down. And I was like, man, this is work. Like we paid $150 to do this.
Well, here's the deal on that. For over 20 years now, I never once helped carry a boat to a river. And I tell my crew that ahead of time. I say, you don't get the boat to the river, I don't drive it down the river. So that's
perfect.
That is goal number one.
See, that's marketing, though. Again, we leave that out of the brochure. You won't see anybody carrying a flip through any brochure. Get on the online media. You'll never see the family of four carrying the boat.
That's another line Dougie Lugg came up with, and I steal it. It's like, this is the part of the trip we do not put in the brochure, otherwise no one would raft.
Well, I think that's one of the funnest parts of it, because it's one of those things like you go and you do it, and while you're out there, like for instance, we done like the Lower New, something really tame to where you can hop out and like float down in certain sections. I'm just sitting there like, this is the most beautiful primal thing I've ever done. You know what I mean? And part like carrying your boat down there and getting out, like when you're done and you haven't done it before, you feel like you just really completed a task,
Yeah.
Well, answer me this, man.
Exactly.
When you did it that day, and I'll say this, and I'll tell people, when's the last time you felt this alive, man?
Yeah.
And it's cool. And before the trip starts, I tell people, whether it's a New or the Gauley or any other river I've worked, and I've worked a lot of them, I say, one thing you need to do when you're out here is take your blinders off and look around. these are the most beautiful places in the whole world. And if there was no whitewater, it'd still be worth the trip you're paying for, because you're going into a place you could not normally ever see if you were not on the river. And this is true story.
Earlier this summer, I had a boat of teenagers, and this one boy turned around at the end of the day and looks at me and goes, "This is the longest I've ever gone without my phone my entire life."
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, buddy."
That's Laurel. When I get her on the river or do overnights, she recently told me she still likes day trips, don't like overnights, because they're work. You got to set tents, you got to haul gear, you got to haul firewood. But she does not care about her iPad once she's out there one bit and starts looking around and everything. It's beautiful in this world. We're lucky enough, every guy out there, not to like downsize it, but like we get paid shitly, no tips, to do what people come to do. Like you said, people up from all over the world, all over the country have come, right here to get a small taste of what we are lucky enough to do when you're doing it full time every day. And that's why, like I said, like she's doing, the rafting, which is awesome. I'm still out there playing with my buddies again, trying to get my daughter into it. If I never touch another commercial raft again, like I said, I'll be doing it till I can't.
Yeah, man. Well,
and then I'll pay somebody to do it for me.
I like that
I will charge you double if I have to take you down the river.
But I'll take your urn down here, old man.
For me, I like that it makes me feel small in a good way. Like you're floating down in this thing that took, I don't know how many millions of years to cut through the earth and to form this, river. And it's just a beautiful thing. And I just sit there and think about like all these little stupid problems I have and all this stuff. This river is going to be here well into the future beyond all that stuff is gone.
Hey, think about it this way. You never feel more alive and more insignificant all at the same time.
Yeah.
But it does put shit in perspective, man. It really does. It puts things in perspective. And there's so many lessons that you learn from rivers. And rivers have literally saved my life from when I was younger. And yeah, I still like to have a good time, but younger when I probably had way more addictions than I should have, and I was still driving around. But it was the river. Whenever I was screwing stuff up on dry ground, the river is the thing that I kept coming back to. That was the thing that I could hold on to. And then as those other issues went away, then I still had the river, and the river helped make me strong because it was the one thing that I had. Because like you said, it will always be here, and it will always be here. It was here before us, it'll be here after us, and will always continue to go. And there are so many lessons that you learn. And I say this to crews all the time, man. After you run a rapid, always take the time to look back and see what you ran. Hard to know where you're going in life if you don't know where you've been.
Yeah.
And there's so many different lessons. And both of these people I'm sitting here with will agree with me on that. And it is the one thing that when things are going right, I met my wife, my beautiful, beautiful wife that I love, on the river. And then there've been time, and that was one of the great things. But there have been so many times in my life when everything else was going absolutely wrong. I always knew that I had the river and my river family that I could always lean on. And they were sometimes the ones that were holding me accountable, going, "You're f***ing up, man, and you need to get your right, starting immediately." And the river would do the same thing. And when I've gotten too cocky in my life, the river will hand me my ass, and I'll crash somewhere, and it will show me what's right. It's beautiful and I don't think I'm lying. I think both these people I'm talking to right here, right now, will agree with me. And I could bring you a list of my best brothers and sisters that I work with, and they will back me up on exactly what I'm saying right now. Everything else in your life will be going wrong. Man, you get to wake up the next day and go work a river, no matter what river it is, anywhere. Man, for at least a few hours, there will be righteousness in your soul, and it'll give you a time to reflect and learn, and maybe give you a chance to understand that there is something bigger and better, and that you're not as important as your arrogance and your narcissism and everything else. it will put you in your place and let you understand who you are and who you are supposed to be. That is what rivers have been to me.
I love it.
Yeah.
That is, so that's, he already answered one of my last questions. So Melanie, what's the river to you? Like, why do you keep on doing this?
Oh, it's just ingrained in me. It is just part of the blood in my body. It feels like, as I age and each year that goes by and, new challenges or, you just appreciate life as you age. And it's just something that I really want to do for a very long time. And I was thinking too, through this conversation, the river family coming into a company and doing those training classes, for so many people, it's that coming of age time as well. And you're developing so much in your own character. And that's where we bond so quickly and really get rooted in who those river families are. And even this year, there were so many old companies that did reunions to bring everybody back together and stay connected. It's really great. And then the river too is where I met my husband. I was doing an event on the Gauley River and he showed up and I said, "Are you sure you're in the right spot?" And so it's just, we're just so tied to it. And it's just
there's
very
something
special
to
place.
that. We was talking about Andy, him and his wife met on the river. I said, that's a thing apparently.
Yeah.
What about you, Charlie?
God, I could talk about it forever, but
And we know you will.
Like they said, although not on the river, I met my baby's mother, passed away and we're together because she was a picture girl for Whitewater Photography.
Which is, let me ask you a question. How could somebody take your picture over and over and over and still want to be with you? I have to ask this, Charlie. I know there's a smart back at me.
You couldn't hear him talk from the riverbank.
No, we've already
PG-13 show.
No, we've already sworn enough on this thing.
I'm not swearing. I can't show you why.
I got about 38 marks here that I got to go back and get. That's hardly nothing.
It's like what they touched on, and you mentioned it is a brotherhood of sisterhood, but it's family. And I have a saying, I don't know, I'm probably not the first one to say it. I don't know if I've heard it, but whitewater's as thick, if not thicker than blood. When you're out there with the people, and everybody, but also like he was mentioning, you said you feel significant. When I'm sitting at the top of a rapid, the fog, the cold, or especially if it's high water or the Gauley and you can't see, it's like, don't have time to think about, am I going to make rent? Am I failing my daughter? Or, all the failed relationship. But it's me and that river, and for maybe just for that rapid for a minute, but another rapid's going to be there. The river's where I go to get lost and where I go to find myself. It does both, and it will be forever. And outside of that, if I don't mention it, I'll probably get beat up. Another reason I love to go is to see the ladies that sit on Goddess Rock in the summer.
Okay. Where's Goddess Rock?
It's a name that I kind of gave it, the old slanty rock that we obtained above Fed Station. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I've called it that when some ladies were sitting on it and sitting on it. So, yeah.
Good to know. I gotta say this.
Maybe get that name to stick, and I'll name the rock.
I gotta say this along the same lines as what Charlie said. This
you like the girls on the rock too, and their little bikinis and.
Yeah, but this is a line that I use, and if any of my brothers and sisters that have ever worked with me are listening to this today, always remember this: anytime you're sitting on top of a rapid on any river anywhere, and you're gripped and you ain't got the crew, always remember I'll be sitting in your ear, and I'll be saying, "Believe in yourself and drive it like you stole it." And if you don't know what I meant when I said it, you just ain't ever worked with me.
I love it. All right, what do we plug? I know you said you're a freelancer now, right, Charlie?
Yeah,
kind of. Where are you at now, Ray Ray? Same place?
No, I'm still at Adventures on the Gorge, and then I'm bartending at Charlie's Pub. On Sundays from 4 to 6. But more than anything, what I'd like to plug for anybody anywhere is if you got any extra time or any extra loot, do something to help out the Humane Society, whether it's adopting an animal or showing up to help walk an animal, or maybe just handing them some cash to help take care of the animals. we're supposed to be their caretakers, take care of the animals.
I love it. Yeah. I got 4 cats up there. Did you see them yet?
They're naked.
running around.
Are they
Naked cats.
I did not.
Yeah.
But take care of the animals in the
That's
world.
got super villain evil bomb.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime.
Oh, and I have one other thing because she's going to say it too.
Stickers.
Support the Sweets of the East. They are the women that are not just supporting Whitewater, but Whitewater in this area. And women are bad. Support the Sweets of the East. But take care of animals first, and then take care of Sweets of the East second.
I think I got a message from someone with Sweets in the East. We got to have them on.
Yeah,
We can do
yes,
the
you do.
thing. Yeah.
You need to do Sweets. That would be an epic show
Yeah.
because we love these women. Are bad at. I mean, they're working. They're doing not America. They're doing the world.
Yeah, maybe
they're
after our
representing,
trip.
but they're
Yeah.
representing all of us.
December?
Anyway, you go ahead.
Yeah.
Matt.
Can you do
I probably
December?
stole your thunder on the Sweets of the
Yeah.
East.
I've got a plug.
But one girl's in Ohio, so
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
Nobody's perfect.
So yes, Sweets of the East is definitely a great group to support. Like I said, I've been in and out of the team, and it's something that's going to go on, I hope, for many years. And as I age out of, being able to keep up with these 20-year-olds, I hope to still support them and bring new young ladies into the experience that it can give you, because you can travel the world through raft racing. But also, and you're going to hear it here first, I'm also working on a web page to archive more of our whitewater history. And, in my spare time, who knows exactly how it will come to be, but October 23rd, I'm hosting an event that'll be Women of Whitewater, and that history event, archive some information from that night, really kind of see what people want to hear, what they want to know. And yeah, just start to build this website digital content of our Whitewater history, because it just lives in our stories. So how can we bring it, to a more tangible place?
I like
Love it.
I like it.
That's beautiful, man.
I guess I'd be remiss. As I get older, we talked about the Whitewater, and we talked a lot about the bigger stuff, but a couple of things. First, just the river itself. The river's not all big waves and big holes and falling out and splashing. You can take fishing trips on the more mild section, one of the best smallmouth fisheries on this side of the Mississippi. Cheap plug for my brother's fishing and hunting company, Fish and Hunt, West Virginia.
Rock on, Robert. Rock on, Robert.
But just the river itself, and not just the river. You know what? I want to plug anybody that's hearing this. Life can be shitty. Find something you enjoy, whether it be the river, hiking. I don't care what you enjoy is walking out to the mall and looking at shit. Take time to find something you enjoy and love and do it. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till next week. Do it now.
Love it.
Amen.
Do it now. It's a good way to end it. Everyone out there, if you haven't liked this video yet, be sure to like it and subscribe to Creepalachia on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, be sure to take a minute and leave a review. That'll really help the show be found. And we are on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and we have merch now, creepalachia.shop. And everyone else, remember, above all else, long live Appalachia.
Amen. Long live Appalachia.
Yes, sir.